Hello, Project Lead the Way students. At this point, after finishing activity 7.4, you should have an entire Automoblocks assembly completed, the passenger body completed, the front assembly completed, and the back assembly completed. Since I already completed activity 7.5, I have a couple other things here. Yours aren't going to look like this because I'm going to use these in the tutorial video, and then you're going to do it with the things that you've already made. So what I have here is I have a tire assembly and a presentation, and then this is ultimately the goal is you're going to have 4 drawing pages, and those 4 drawing pages that you have are going to be the balloon type icons with the parts list, with the general tolerance list. So this is the goal. This is what we want it to look like when we're done. Is each part is numbered. I put my general tolerances in. I put the parts list in. So let me kind of give you an example of how you are going to do this. So first thing you're going to do to make the ballooned part list is you're going to do something that we've not done before, which is called a presentation. So a presentation is the one way over here on the right. Click on that. It's going to open up a new presentation. If you're doing the front end, you're probably going to save it as presentation, front presentation. I'm going to open the tire assembly because this is one that you don't have to do. And this is just going to be my example for how to do the actual presentation. So now that I have the tire assembly loaded, I'm going to click on this tweak components. And when I click on it, it opens up this little sub menu. But basically what I'm going to do is I can click on like the tire, and I get the gray arrows. Click on the gray arrows. Do not click on the little gray boxes. Click on the gray arrows. And if I click on this one, I can move the tire up and down. If I click on this one, I can move it sideways. And if I click on this one, I can move it forwards and backwards. And it'll keep it in line if you're using the arrows. Okay? So I'm going to use the arrows, and like I said, if I wanted to pull apart straight up, I'd do it here. And if I wanted to go straight to the side, I could do it here. So in this case, I'm just going to expand it in this direction. And I'm going to put that one right there. I'm going to stretch this one out and drop it in right there. Perfect. I'm going to hit the little green check mark to show that this is done. And at this point, you can just save it. This is all you need to do in the presentation. So I'm going to X out of this presentation and say no, because I already have one saved right there. So you can see in my presentation that I pulled them the other direction. That's fine. What I'm going to do now is I am going to make a new drawing sheet. Use that same Menominee Falls heading that we've used for all the other ones. And I'm in hour 8. When I go to make my new drawing, I am going to put into it the presentation that I just made. So find that presentation. There it is right there. It's the one that's got the icon that looks a little different, like something's coming out of a screen. And if it's not shaded, I'm going to click OK, because right now this one's not going to be shaded. It looks like it is, but I'm going to hit OK. And I think it looks kind of bad like this, but you could leave it like this if you want. If you wanted it to be shaded, just go over here and right click, edit view, and then you can click on the shaded tab versus not shaded. I think it looks better if it's shaded. So let me try that one more time. There we go. Alright, so to add the bubbles, I'm going to go up to annotate. So just click on annotate, and over here we have, it normally would say it look like this on yours. You got to click the little down arrow and select auto balloon, and then select the part that you want to actually auto bubble. So I'm only going to do one part because you might need to do the entire car kind of like this, where I'm going to add this axle and this tire. So I lied, I'll do 2. And then I'm going to select the placement, or like I said, if you're doing the whole car, this might get really busy if you do every part in the car at the same time. So if you do part of the car and then the next part of the car, and then you can kind of work your way around it and get the whole car done. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to hit apply, and I can see that those parts are listed. I'm not done yet though, because I would need to get the tire in there. So I'm going to use the auto balloon feature one more time. I'm going to make sure that my tire is highlighted. So and I can put this down here now or over here, and that's why I say it might be useful to do it in steps or parts like this. So now that I have those numbers in, the rest of this is actually going to go pretty quick. Keep in mind you're going to do your sub-assemblies and your final car, so you're going to have a lot more than 3 parts. But all I need to do now is click on the parts list. And I'm going to select the view, which is this. It's automatically pulling in all the names and everything. I'm just going to hit OK. And I need to pick a spot to drop this in. I'm going to drop it in right above my name. And there's my parts list. If I wanted to, I could double click on the parts list, and when I do that, it's going to bring up a menu. I'm going to hit pause for a second, because on my computer for some reason it takes a minute for that to come up, but I double click, have patience, give it a second, and these are the things that are already automatically kind of loaded into your table. If you want to, you can do things to change those by double clicking. You can remove like the quantity, you can remove it. You can add in any of the things that are over here on the left, like maybe for example you want to add a spot for the material that it's made out of. I actually probably wouldn't want the material to be there. I would probably want it to be after the description, maybe before the description. Maybe you want to have the stock number if this is a parts list, where people would have to have that stock number. Hit apply, hit OK, and you can see what just happened to my parts list. It got huge. I could resize it here now so that it fits in the space that I would need to fit into. There we go. And I'm going to leave it just like that. It's got the mass of the parts, it's got the description, the stock number. You could add or remove anything that you wanted to add or remove. For us, let's just keep it simple, and we're not going to add or remove any of those things, so I'm just backing up to take it right back to the way we had it before. If you wanted to add a description, double click. When it brings up the menu, you can type something in for the description. Feel free to do that. There we go. Last thing I need to do is add my general tolerance. I'm going to use the same general tolerance that we had in the presentation under tolerances. So if you need to go back and look at what those tolerances were, you could do that, or you could pause this video in just a minute and you could write those down. But it's just a general table, and I need it to be 2 columns, 4 rows, and we put one of these in before. I'm going to put it right there. So double click on the table and it brings open the browser here. I am going to remove those 2, and I'm going to add a new column. The new column name is going to be linear. And I'll make another new column called angle, because this is the same general tolerances that we did before. I'm going to say OK, and just for the fun of it, I'm going to apply so that the table looks the way it should. I'm going to change the name of it to general tolerance, just in case you wanted to see where I did that. I clicked right here under table layout, and now if I hit apply, there we go, it says general tolerance, and this is where you can put in what those general tolerances were. X.X equals plus or minus, and I'm not going to make you guys watch me type on a table, so I'm going to pause and do that. So once I had all those general tolerances put into the table, I just kind of moved it so that I just resized it so that it was down here in the corner, and this is done. So what you're going to do with this is follow the directions to put it into the Google slide presentation that you already have, and we should be good.